Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Deploy the Garrison. It's season 4, episode 10, Savage Battlefields. Or are we calling it Savage Battlefield today, Alan?
I mean, there's a good argument to be made for that.
Yeah, so I mean, we can jump straight into the news, I suppose. Obviously, GenCon is going on as we are recording, so we don't have everything to come out, but we did get to see the new sculpt for Savage Opress, which obviously we predicted on the show. The collective we, you know, it was a team effort. So yeah, I'm really happy. I'm hoping, because obviously it was shown off at the same time as the new Dooku sculpt, right?
We got a Dooku sculpt and a Savage scoop.
Yeah, so I don't know whether he'll come in with the Separatist box, or because I was hoping, obviously, it'll be usable with the Shadow Collective. So I still have some hope.
That would be my suspicion, is that's where he's going to be, a straight mercenary.
Yeah. Well, you'd hope so, right? I mean, it does have some time working with Separatist people, but then obviously is very core. There's a lot more time spent with the Shadow Collective. So yeah, it makes me happy to see.
With Maul.
I'll have to reach out again just to see if we can get any more information or just an acknowledgement of how great we are at predicting what we're going to do.
I still, in my head, I have this image of like Will is just like, hey, you have no idea what's coming. Is this the Saw hologram in Andor? You have no idea where I am. Well, we have an idea. Maybe. Yeah. Educated guess, perhaps.
I feel like the I took that personally is closer to a mark.
You did, yeah.
Well, Shick, you have no idea what's coming this year. Well, do you know? Yeah.
Oh man,
that is good. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that, especially if it does drop into Shadow Collective. Which I haven't made any progress on my buses yet, because I mean, yeah, let's just roll straight into Officer's Mess. I do have my painting desk set up now. I did a little bit of painting. I did a nice little mech for Conflict 47.
Looks good.
I enjoyed it. It was basically just an excuse to paint something small and quick. I've been messing around trying to make my own little, I was going to say video game, then that's not right, miniatures game, just because I want to some stompy robot action. So I spent a little bit of time messing around with that, and I need some mechs, so I got that. And he's a cute little...
He's a cute
little thing.
It's a neat that conflict stuff has some neat aesthetics. Not trying not to get too far away from Legion, but like it's a cool, like, was it like alternate World War II type of thing? Yeah,
a weird war diesel punk aesthetic, right? But yeah, just stompy robots is all I'm messing around with at the moment. They've got a new edition coming out in probably the same time as Legion started, September time. But yeah, I'll keep painting robots and see how that goes. But yeah, I've got the buses prepped, but I realized when I was trying to panel line that little mech that I don't actually have any of the stuff to do panel lining. I only have like a matte varnish. I was trying to find green stuff earlier, and I don't have any of that. I only have Milliput. So I'm like, oh man, now that I've got a specific space to do hobby, I'm noticing all of the little holes that I'm used to just...
Everything you left back in Canada.
Yeah, it's like 9 years of working at a game store where I get every tool imaginable, like even if you don't stock it, but I can get it from supply, like the different brands of paintbrushes I've tried, and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just being a normie sucks, man. Oh.
Oh man.
Yeah, well, I'm like painting. Like, oh well, just use some of the. I don't have any glass furniture. I'll just. I don't have that. Oh man, there's a gap here. I need to fill it with my green stuff. I don't have any. How do I not have green stuff? What the hell's wrong with me? But yeah. So once I actually have the correct tools for the job, that's when I'll start. I do want to give them a more weathered kind of aesthetic. I messed around with some ideas on that mech. I did kind of little bits of rust around the rivets and everything like that to practice my weathering.
How'd you get that effect? That like that rusty, is it?
So I've not done it this way before because I wanted to try different, easier ways of doing it. So I got a pretty strong white. I didn't. I used Corax white from Games Workshop and washed it down a little bit and just played around until I had a good mixture. If you use something like a Pro Acryl white or there's another one, a titanium white from AK, I think it is, with a really strong, you just kind of not necessarily panel line, but kind of paint that into recesses or the underneath side where you want the rust to show. And then I just hit it with the Fugan orange contrast paint from Games Workshop because that naturally goes into a crevice and gives you that kind of faded look.
Gotcha.
I did that before I then did a little bit of sponge weathering to kind of put the more dirt and grime onto it. So it's kind of building up in layers, right? So anything that's going to be rusty, do the rust first, then chips on top of the rust so that you get, because obviously if rust is chipped, it goes back to being shiny because it's a unrusted metal underneath it. So kind of the rust layer is the first one that I do.
Gotcha. Okay, so let me make sure. So you do the white in order to have something for the orange to go against.
Yes. Yeah.
Otherwise, if you put orange on green, it turns a different color, right?
Yeah, it just doesn't look because, you want the orange to pop, basically. Gotcha. And then you can look at the composite material you want to weather, because obviously not everything rusts orange.
Right, it's only like steel and iron, right?
Yeah. So I've done a lot of stuff with like bronze and brass where you kind of tarnish it into that oxidized green look, which is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
But I kind of do that in the same way. Generally a touch of white, just for the greens, not as much white. You just want to give it enough to let it pop and have a bit of vibrancy on different parts. So, yeah.
Right. Okay. Today's hobby.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Kris.
Yeah, we try. Okay, so that's basically my officer's mess. I've been away camping with the family 1 week, and then my mum came down from Scotland to go camping with us and then took Evie back to Scotland. So then we drove to Scotland to pick her up. And it was a big convoluted thing, which involves me not actually being at home for like 10 days out of the last 14. So yeah, I've done nothing really. I painted a little robot. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you guys want from me. Given that I spoke about games last week, I feel like it's your turn anyway. So hopefully you're going to come through.
It sure is. And I got two of my games, kind of got them back to back. So the one that kept getting delayed finally got through. And then I got the next week done. So yeah, I've got two games. One with David and one with Kyle. The first one played against Rebels. We are at let me back up a second. So my games are from our local shop's Escalation League, and we're at the 800 point level. And it's weird going back to 800 points after playing 1,000 for a while. It's just like, what in tarnation? We're going back in time. What is this? It's kind of an odd level. But like, I get it. I understand why we have 800 points. It's in between, our 600 and, the full 1,000. It's nice 200 point. It does. It does. It lets you build your collection and keep going. So I brought out, I've talked about this before. The list was it's Krennic and Callus. And then I have 2 units of riot squads with security droids and Imperial March. 2 units of snows with ion guns and Imperial March, 2 lats with TIE Pilot, spotter uplink. Thanks for the idea. I don't know who would. One of our viewers posted about spotter uplink. It's like, ooh, that's a really good idea. Yeah. So I put that on there. I got rid of another upgrade to make room for 2 spotter uplinks, but armor piercing shells, bunker buster, and door gunner. So, and then the last unit is a unit of death troopers with DTF 16 in the config. I originally had offensive push on them, but I dropped that to get 2 spotter uplinks, and I think it worked out pretty well for the most part. So the first game against David was Rebel. It was Lando Bad Batch. So we had Lando, 3 units of Specialist DLT, Rebel Troopers, an FD, Bad Batch, and what else did he have? I know he had more activations than that. Oh, he had a unit of Sleepers maxed out and a unit of Wookiees in Rebels, which was unaccounted for, and they got to me way quicker than I was expecting. I'm like, man, this is a problem, and I'm glad I'm not playing against Kris's list, because this would be a problem times what, 7?
Yep.
8, 6, 7. Oh boy. So we were playing Breakthrough and Surface Scan. So just be outside your deployment zone. Don't do that. And we're playing on our Ferrix table that we have at the shop. So there's a lot of line of sight blocking and then a bunch of scatter terrain. But there's still some big fire lanes and things like that. And the reason I mention is this will come up later. But Breakthrough worked out pretty well. I was able to split my army in half. The riots and the lats went up on my right side. The rest of my army went around to the left to his point. And he had 1 unit of Rebel Troopers, Bad Batch, and the Sleepers come in on my right side. Everything else kind of was filing in on the left. And we just kind of blasted each other out. The lats worked really well on deployment and deploying everything on that right side because of that extra leg that you get from Breakthrough. So they got real close in a hurry. And they never used the AP shells because they were too close. I was in range 1 almost immediately with everything that was coming in over there. Bunker buster shells were very nice to have. AP shells, I might have shot one of them once in that game, but yeah, the 2 things that surprised me were, well, one didn't surprise me. You had a comment earlier that I was gonna struggle with. I have to bring out a lat before I can bring out one of my guys, even towards the end.
Yeah,
brought one out and deployed as in safe a position as I could, but I couldn't hold it back long enough, and those Sleepers came in and just rolled one of those riot squads. It didn't fully kill it, but boy, it made it a problem. And then I was having to split fire a lot between, okay, do I finish off the Sleepers or do I work on Bad Batch? Because both of them were in my face and a problem. He deployed Bad Batch really early, and so the lats were able to get a lot of unanswered shots. And then I was able to get one of the squads of riots into something. Yeah, I don't remember. Unfortunately, the game was 2 weeks ago at this point, but was able to get one of them into either Bad Batch or the Sleepers fairly early. Right. And then it was just kind of a big slog and a furball over there while the lats were shooting everything that wasn't contested.
Yeah.
Turn 2, because of everything where people were and the shots that I had to make, I wasn't able to get my surface scan, because I put my surface scan on both my lats in that game. But because of where I needed the lat to be to make a shot, it was still in my deployment zone. So I lost a point there, but the big thing was I couldn't let him secure my breakthrough point. So yes, I sacrificed 1 point to keep him from getting 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things with that. So basically it ended up as a wash because he was contesting mine. So I lose that point. I had to keep my scanner in my deployment zone to keep him from securing that point. And then, keeping him from 2. So it was a little bit lower scoring immediately on that first scoring turn, but then I was able to secure both of his, keep one of mine uncontested, and score the other one. So turns 4 and 3 and 4, I was scoring 6 points a turn. Or no, 5 or 6 points a turn. And so, and there's a certain amount of attrition that happened. It just kind of steamrolled through, and again, I was pushing a lot of points on turns 3 and 4 to end that game. But yeah, it ended 12-3. And that's just because I was able to lock him down on turns 3 and 4. So the surprising thing is those Wookiees also came out from his leg, and he had recon intel on his Wookiees, which I didn't account for. And so they were in my grill turn 1, and it's like, oh, that's not where I know. Yeah. I don't want you right there. Go away. I'm supposed to be the melee person. Why are you in my face? What's going on here?
So that's one of the things I've been contemplating, because I've got 2 buses now, and I own a lot of Wookiees.
Right.
I could just make this rebel and put some of these combat Wookiees in these buses, and then the sweeper cell have some help,
Right.
Takes the pressure off somewhat.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of wounds there. Snowtroopers don't roll black. Yeah, the snowtroopers don't roll black in melee anymore, and so it's just like I'm hitting like a wet noodle back into them. So it ended up being a fur ball. In one of these pictures I sent you, let's see, that was probably towards the end of that fur ball. Yeah. So on that building, I had 1 unit of snows that was in with the Wookiees. Callus was jumping in against the Wookiees. The Death Troopers were jumping in against the Wookiees. It was a group effort to bring these Wookiees down. And they kept bashing into Callus. They almost took out Callus, but didn't quite have enough to finish him off. But yeah, those Wookiees made a fur ball, just that tar pit type of thing that we were talking about before, because it's like, I can't let them just stay here by themselves, because at the time, my commander was right there on the corner of that building. And my point is right there. I didn't have anybody left to contest that point. So I had to tar pit back into him with units that probably shouldn't have been tar pitting with, but like I had to hold his Wookiees there to keep him from scoring my point. And he was doing the same, trying to keep me from advancing his point. And it's just like, but I was victorious in the end. But there's some interesting points there. Like Rebel Bad Batch is still very, very strong. It took a lot of effort to bring them down. I still didn't finish them off by the end of the game. They still had Omega and Hunter at the end. They just absolutely saving like crazy. And, I chip in a wound or two. But like, there's a lot of wounds, and having a bunch of surges is
if you can take
hard to deal with.
And I think normally is it who gives them reliable? Is it Tech or
it's
Echo?
It's Echo that gives them reliable.
Yeah. Once you usually take out, if you can, Wrecker goes first. You kill Wrecker, and then just keep going until Tech's dead, and you're fine.
Yeah. Well, so then he goes Wrecker and then Tech. Echo is still giving him surges. So it's Echo, Omega, and Hunter is how he did it. And it's just Keeping around. So you lose the tactical, you lose tactical, and you lose the cash dodge.
Yeah.
Aim dodge if you haven't spent it already.
You should.
You
spend those turn one, right?
Yeah, you spend them when you need them. And because I had 2 lats bearing down on them, just blasting away, those got spent pretty quick. But man, it was they're hard to deal with. The sleepers still absolutely wreck your day, especially when your riot troopers are not in melee. They kind of get rolled.
I mean,
pretty hard.
That's the problem with the style list you're building, is that the threats are those riot troopers, right? And like I said, because it's actually 4 activations you're trying to hold back, so you really need to have a target before your 7th activation, say. Like your 6th or 7th activation is bring it on so that you can then activate that unit to push them into something, so they only have 1 activation to counter you.
Yep.
Shit. Yeah.
And for the most part I did, but I still had that off turn where, because he had Bad Batch out, like his 2nd or 3rd activation, he put Bad Batch on the table, and we discussed it later. It's like you got to hold your power pieces for the end, because Bad Batch should have come on very close to the end instead of at the beginning. Otherwise, I would have had a lot less target option there. But
yeah, I mean, I feel like Bad Batch is going to come out before sweepers just because they can take more than a sweeper unit can. But
absolutely.
Yeah, the principle is
but it shouldn't have been the first couple of activations.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
and then what was your second game like then?
Second game, I went over to Kyle's house and we played on this kind of outposty snowy Siberia BFE type of location. And he called it an armament depot. It's cool. It had a little train and stuff, a little GW-ish train, but it was a cool little train.
Yeah.
So with that, we played, he was playing Blizzard Force, and he had all 4 bikes, which was interesting. We'll get to Blizzard Force. Still good. No spoilers. Well, no, definitely spoilers, but Intercept, bring them to heal. And then he was running 2 HRUs with the range 4 guns. So DLT 19 and RT 97, Veers with lead by example, improvised, and binoculars, which was a very interesting setup. Like, I think it's a pretty good Veer setup. He's a very support heavy commander. And then 2 units of double sized flame trooper troopers. So he had Imperial March, he had the full size squad flame trooper, and Recon Intel. And boy howdy, those were some thick boys. They were hard to deal with. Partially because we talked about it, and I'm gonna whine about dice, and I'm gonna caveat my whining about dice is not, oh man, dice lost me the game, but dice played an outsized influence on the game.
Right.
Where it's just like on that far side of the bell curve, where I would get 5 or 6 wounds in, and he would get 4 or 5 saves, like every time. I'd get a good punch in, and he's like, okay, I'll take one. And with a big squad like that, you just have to keep chewing, and it's just like, come on, man. I just couldn't get the saves they were above average almost every single time. But now there were strategic errors that I made that put me in that position. So, should I have been in there? Maybe not. I lost the game because of my strategic mistakes, and the dice made it harder for me to get back in the game after I realized the mistakes. So dice games, they happen, but I played it wrong, and Kyle did a good job capitalizing on me being out of position and kind of shutting me down on that.
Yeah.
So on this map, there's one side that has the big bodies of the train, and that blocks line of sight a lot better to.
Sorry, I was just going to pull up the images of your tables for the viewers, but then my camera went off and I had to fix it. So,
we'll fix it in post.
This game is the snowy one that you're talking about now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, a snowy one with a blizzard force. How appropriate, right? So like there's this train on my left side, and what I should have done is flip-flopped where I deployed the two halves of the army. I should have put the lats on the left side where I could deploy the riots behind line of sight. I was able to deploy it behind this kind of field gun, this train gun that was there, but you could still kind of see them. They weren't in a safe position where they still got shot at. And then because my commander was too far away, they didn't panic. Or actually, no, on the first turn, one of my riots panicked. And so that kind of shut down that charge as well. Being able to deploy, speed 1 off of a speed 3 lat that deployed in definitely gets them up the table, but they're a lot more limited on who they can engage. So I wasn't quite right in my math in the fact that like deploying from the back edge to a back edge, I can't necessarily engage anybody I want, but it's pretty close. If they advance much past the line of their deployment zone, if they come out of their deployment zone at any point, the lat coming in, speed 3, the speed 1, and then the speed 1 or speed 2, speed 3 move that you get from Imperial March, it can get into their deployment zone by a couple of inches. So like if you want to avoid that kind of rush from a riot squad in a lat, you're going to have to be, I think, within 1 of your board edge if you want to avoid that. Or, if there's terrain in the way that makes it so they can't make a direct line, then you can get that. But
so I've got the picture that you sent for that one, so you can kind of see where your lats are compared to the deployment zones.
Yeah, my lats are kind of on the right side of middle. All the rest of my units deployed in the Connex boxes over to the left. They're kind of in and around those, and then the train blocks his line of sight. His 2 snowtroopers were by the antenna that he had, and then he was proxying. So some of these they look like scouts, but they're actually snowtroopers. He hasn't used a lot of snowtroopers before, and so he's trying them out to see if he wanted to actually put his together, and he's definitely putting his together now after this game.
Pretty good.
They're pretty good, especially the double size and just not failing saves. Turns out they're really good.
Just roll better.
Yeah, I was rolling really well, and his saves just absolutely said, no, thank you. We're just not going to die today. Until we got to the point where I'm like, okay, cool. Now if you're going to keep saving the way that this is going to save, like I got him down to his last 3 and I got like 4 wounds into him. I'm like, okay, cool. You'll save 2. You'll be down to 1 guy and I'll be safe in combat. Right? Wrong. He just completely blanks out at that point. And then his 2, he had a set of bikes and then the full HRU squad that just said, cool, I'll just kill those guys now. And so I had a 5-man riot squad that just evaporated immediately after because his dice betrayed me at the wrong time and he just completely blanked out. And now I'm flapping in the breeze. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, these things happen. But yeah, strategically, I should have flip-flopped where I had those people. I should have had my lats on the left and the rest of my army on the right. But I also need to make sure I have my commander in range of where I am deploying those riots to make sure they have the courage bubble and the compel bubble. And I didn't have either of those. So that was another huge mistake on my part of misplaying, keeping those guys outside of range. It didn't necessarily matter in the first game, and that's probably why I didn't see that issue come up, because they all got into melee immediately and they weren't getting shot at enough for it to matter. Or they were close enough that the one action that they did get was enough to charge and then immediately melee something on the Rebels game. Whereas in this game, it really kind of mattered more. Also, having 4 bikes that I couldn't deal with because those flame snows were, in my opinion, a bigger threat at the time. This is probably another strategic mistake that I have as a personal failing as a player is let's charge. I got these chargy boys. Let's get in there. I didn't necessarily need to immediately charge them in like I did. I should have stayed back and probably chipped away at some of those bikes before they became a problem. He had 3 sets of bikes that were still buzzing around at the end of the game because I was too busy dealing with the snows.
So one of the things that I think you can kind of take away from that, though, is that just because you have the lats and you have the riot troopers
does not mean I need to rush them in.
You could have put something else in the lats and use them to just occupy a different part of the table.
Yes.
And
it doesn't have to be the riots, right?
Yeah. And it's kind of recognizing not necessarily just win conditions, but your loss conditions as well, right? Because there was a comment on our combat skew thing, I think it was, where it was talking about how they felt like it can be predictable if you're playing a combat skew, and that's the mindset that the combat skew player can fall into. And that's what I say about working really hard when I'm playing the Wookiees, to not just do that. So doing the not the unexpected thing for the sake of doing the unexpected thing, but recognizing that if I do this, I blast the speed 3 move forwards, then they get out, then they've got the charge, like the move charge from Imperial March. It's a massive threat bubble. But then what? If that doesn't work, have I lost the game? That kind of thinking. Yeah.
And part of that is, I had a charge that did not go off because I charged both of the riots, and they were, I think, at full health by the time they crashed into those snows, rolling pretty well. Again, the attacks were just bouncing, so the charge failed in that aspect, and it really set the tone for the game. Because now I'm behind trying to deal with these guys, and they're not in the right positions to go score.
And the worst part of that is that you've engaged it, but then you can't actually follow up because you're the one who's put them in combat, so you now can't shoot them when your charge didn't work.
Yeah, and part of that was I was planning on being okay with that because then my lats could shoot other things. They ended up shooting bikes or HRUs, and it didn't cause as much issue. In this game, because the lats were much farther back, I did use the AP shells to get that range 3 shots. So I definitely like having the AP shells, and if I come up with anything with armor, the AP shells will be very, very handy just because, they're impact 3, the main gun is impact 1. So, impact 4 for each lat. But also speeder bikes, man, they have impact 2 each for one each per bike. They chew up lats pretty good. That was not fun. All of his bikes had the Strike and Fade, and
Yeah.
boy, Strike and Fade on Imperial bikes is real neat. That is
It's just
super
a good
cool.
card.
The extra
It's
flexibility.
just a good
It is
card.
real good.
Yeah.
Absolutely solid. 10 out of 10.
Luckily,
would recommend.
The points add up real quick, though.
They do, but man, well, it felt like he had plenty of points to go around. Like he was also at 9 acts. You know, he had Fears, 2 HRUs, 2 of the big. Like if he wanted more squads, like he could have dropped the big upgrades and got more activations. But you know, he had 4 bikes, 4 core, and Veers, and it felt real solid. Like that was a really good list that he put together. Yeah, flamethrowers in melee, which I had forgotten about, are not great. Don't rush your riot squad into
oh man, you're ruining my suggestions for where you can go next.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's something I'm definitely thinking about.
Okay, well, so let's move on to. So one of the things you'd said is that you attempted to change up your HQ package and kind of how the list builds out, right? Now you played those games, you're on to 1,000 points. So the core that we spoke about was that you have your 2 riot squads, which you want to keep. Your 2 snow trooper squads with Imperial March and Ions, and then the 2 lats. And that's like just over half of your points, right? 570, I think we said, something like that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So I thought this could be fun because you've got these 2 giant threats that just land in your face, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Moff Gideon with Darksaber.
Okay.
And I know what you like. You like heavies, right? How would you like the heaviest of heavy units to just stroll along going, look, you can deal with those lights if you want to, but at some point, we're going to be where we need to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So full-size squad of Dark Troopers, Program Loyalty, Assault Cannon, Myrtleizer, just because points, and the extra body Dark Trooper. Yeah, and it's melee skew.
Yeah.
Right, and then we are doing a melee skew. So those snow troopers, those ions are gone, man. Get rid of them. Flamethrowers.
Flamers. All right.
Because then they're even more of a threat if you put them in the lats.
Sure. Yeah.
You can bounce into a range 1 bubble, and it gives you a longer threat range.
Sure.
Then I did take away some impact, so I added in 2 basic units of stormtroopers with DLT 19s, just to get you to 10 units, 11 activations.
Sure.
So your HQ package is pretty small in that it's just Gideon and Darksaber, but he can help. He's got a lightsaber.
Right. Well, I kind of put. Like I say my HQ package because I considered that package as being the Callus, Krennic, and then the Death Troopers that go with both of them. Because I had Strike Team Leader on Callus to get tokens on the Dark Troopers, and then Entourage. Now those 3 guys like to stay together, and so like their whole shtick was they stick together. But then I have 2 prongs of this army. Is like I have my dudes, and then I have my lats, and whatever's in the lats was the threat package. But I kind of need to have the army more close together instead of doing a split, just to have the compel bubble available. Because
I mean,
I could split off the Dark Troopers because DTF.
You can have a compel bubble, Owen, or you could have a ruthless bubble.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I could make you move, or I could kill one of you and make you aim real good.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
But I don't know.
Or move or whatever, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's something different, right? I don't think you've played much with Gideon specifically. Well, not the new version of Gideon. And then
no, I haven't.
I think that unit of Dark Troopers, because it it either frees up the lats to never get touched because the Dark Troopers need dealing with. And if they try, you can then, again, you've got your command card. Remember, you can just bounce them to somewhere else on the table and kind of protect them that way. So yeah, I think that's worth playing around with. It might be a little bit activation light for you. I know you like, I think you'd feel better with 12 acts rather than the 11, but
yeah, 12 would be better, but having the double act of the Dark Troopers is nothing to sneeze at, to be sure. And
do you know what it also does? It puts 4 heavy tokens in your bag for turn 1.
That's true. Yeah, because I was spending one of Callus's card, like the Ruthless Tactics, just because it put 3 orders on the table.
Yeah. But this means that the first one you pull out is Dark Troopers. Second one you pull out is Dark Troopers. So you get to hold the lats back longer just because of a token manipulation in the bag.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. Absolutely.
I try. Occasionally I have like, there's something there. Good. There's something there.
Yeah. That's a thought. I mean, and more heavies. More heavies is more better. I agree.
And it's armor as well, right? They have armor 3. They'll be okay.
Yeah, armor 3 with red saves. It's not too bad.
Armor 3 red and crushing punches. Lean into that melee, as you say. And let's be honest, it's actually a truckload of dice coming out of them at range 1 to 3.
Yeah, it ain't bad. It ain't bad at all. Did you get rid of Imperial March on this?
No, I had to drop your armor piercing shells to make it work.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I got it. Yeah.
So the other thing about that as well is if you need to overwhelm dice pools, you can fire the door gunners on the turns your armor piercings down.
Yes.
So you can slice the angle and fire normal at the main gun and the door gunners for your arsenal too.
Yeah, and I did end up doing that occasionally, but it was getting work done, that's for sure. Yeah. Okay, so you killed the AP shells. I'm still 4 over.
No, sorry, not AP. It's the bunker buster shells.
Oh, you got rid of the bunker busters.
Kept the AP because it's a longer range 2 to 3.
Okay. Yeah, and I definitely like having the longer range. The bunker busters were nice just because they have blast and scatter.
Yeah.
Being able to scatter the enemy unit closer to me.
And
then I can charge it.
That was my big shtick all along. But yeah, I think for what you're trying to do, I think that this will, and you've got flamethrowers now, so that you don't need to pull them as close. If it's something that you would have been trying to pull into charge range, you can just deploy the flames out of it and go to town with the flamethrowers. Because that, like I said, that's still going to hurt on the charge. You've got Imperial March as well, which gives them charge.
Yeah, if I want to burn it. Yep.
I mean, at that point, you burn it, right? Because you're already in melee.
Yeah.
So
I'm in where I need to be. Yeah. I won't need the additional speed after that. They're either dead or it doesn't matter.
Oh, they've already killed a unit, so them being a little bit slower now. Big saddle, boo-hoo. Yep. I don't get to murder 2 units with my 68 point.
That's true. And it makes it like, going to flames instead makes it they're the same cost as the other stormtroopers. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. All right. I see what's happening here. I'll have to give it a shot and we'll see.
And look how much of a buff Moff Gideon is. Observe 1. Oh yeah, free action. Get 1 single reroll. Anybody? Yay.
Yeah, but Callus was observed 2, so it's a downgrade.
I'm trying to help. I don't know. Realistically, you probably don't take Darksaber until AMG make it free like we did for everybody else. I don't. Instead of Darksaber, I think you probably take improvised orders and then have a little bit of points to play around. You could put the frag launcher back in if you want to, that kind of thing.
Yeah, potentially. I think the Myrtleizer is fine. I don't know necessarily. Well, actually, they may not be able to get in range. because they're still slow. I don't know. Yes, they're moving 2 speed ones a turn, but
so the thing that they do, like that Wookiee unit, you're not worried about that Wookiee unit anymore. Anything that charges you're not worried about at all. So it's not your offensive piece. It's your, look, man, if you want to come and meet me halfway, we can.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I got you. Yeah. That makes more sense.
Yeah, that's an idea.
That's a thought. Okay. Yeah, the other thought was going back to your dewbacks and then just mixing things up a little bit there. But yeah, there's plenty of options here for sure.
The problem with Imperials at the moment is that they don't have the mid-range offensive commander. Like Iden is probably like relatively close, but like Vader, because you've got to, as in by mid-range I mean points cost wise. You're either looking at Vader to be like gung ho, like you're putting 200 points into him,
right?
Like you don't have a Wookiee chieftain or a Chewbacca. Sure. I suppose Chewbacca is my equivalent. For 90 points, I get someone who can kind of get a job done, but you have some really good support options in Krennic and Veers. But I don't think it fits what you want to be doing. If you're willing to make some other sacrifices, like either the riots or the snows go away, I think you can make a solid Veers fire base.
Right.
But that changes the way you play, and I feel like you're trying to avoid defaulting back to a gun line for a little while. But
well, I don't want to try into gun line. I was trying to get away from heavies, but now I've got a bunch of heavies in order to deliver my melee. So it's kind of a both. Like I was trying to play with melee. Yeah, they're not the stand and deliver like the ATSTs were, and they are noticeably more fragile. The 3 extra wounds doesn't seem like much, but boy, they went down pretty quick once he started getting the bikes into them.
Yeah.
Spotter uplink also did work pretty well. He had a couple of bikes that were next to him. He's like, haha, I've got cover. I'm like, haha, no, you don't. Spotter uplink, baby, sharp one.
Oh, yeah.
So that was fun having the spotter uplink. Definitely a neat little trick. But yeah, one thing I've definitely noticed more with playing these melee heavy lists, and part of why I was sending you pictures and bringing up the pictures of the games is
I feel how much does terrain seamless transition coming on.
God damn it! It's not as good when you just mention it like that.
When I ruin
but
it
I wanted
for
to
you.
talk about terrain. I wanted to talk about how much terrain has an influence on both melee SKUs and just lists in general, because looking at these pictures, it doesn't seem too crazy different. They both seem, I would call, a medium density table, but with the buildings being maybe it's just the missions that we had where everything was next to buildings, as opposed to with the layout with the trains, like some of the stuff was just out in the middle, but it felt way more open on that right side of the table on the train depot versus, it felt pretty balanced on the Ferrix table.
Let me bring the tables up, so I've got them both now, so you can talk about them. So there you go. You have the train depot table up if you want to call any specific.
Yeah. So on this right side, there's this just big open no man's land right around the middle of that intercept point, which, yes, you get cover from that, but it's not line of sight blocking, which is kind of what you need to keep your melee threats safe. Now, it didn't matter. I was able to deliver my melee threat. And so maybe, the terrain was probably fine in this case, but part of me, when everything was falling apart, was like, man, this table's really open. That's why I lost. Well, no, there are other things that caused me to lose that game. Strategic errors, tactical errors, and then bad luck. But thinking about it, and you had made comments previously with because you've been playing, your Wookiees. It's definitely a melee skew list, where I think you mentioned in the last show, expecting terrain to be area terrain, therefore line of sight blocking, and then it wasn't.
Yeah.
And it caused some problems for you. So I just wanted to discuss for our main topic, terrain layout, terrain density, how much of a mix of stuff we have on tables to make sure not necessarily that a melee skew is favored, but has a place at the table. Does terrain have an outsized effect with that? Or do you have to adapt strategically to the terrain? Like if I had put my melee threat on the left side, where there's lots of line of sight blocking that I can, leapfrog between, would that have made a difference? Maybe.
Yeah.
But looking at these two tables, they don't seem crazy difference. If anything, the terrain I felt I was more favored on had more open space. Like the city Ferrix table, looking at these pictures, looks more open.
Yeah, I've got the Ferrix
but I felt
table
better
right
about
now.
that list.
I think so. The Ferrix table is more big, chunky line of sight blockers, whereas in the other table has more smaller pieces that, yes, you can strategically hide behind, but it's not naturally just blocking everything, right?
Yep.
So
so it's just the size and scale of the line of sight blockers rather than the quantity, right? Because the more area that those line of sight take up, the less space you have for your fire lanes and things like that, I suppose.
Yeah. So the first thing I think is worth pointing out, and you were all over this on the last show, was the set up the table before you do the missions and all of that, because part of it is getting to choose what table side you're on.
Yep. And
I get the
I had
feeling
to force some mission changes on the second one.
That's it, because you would have been much better on the other side of that table.
Yes, I would have been, but I didn't. There was a mission set, and I don't remember what I vetoed. Unfortunately, it's been too long, and I didn't take any notes.
No, it's easy to do, right? Because you hyper focus on, I like this mission, this is how I play this mission out. And again, it's recognizing that thing of, is this how I lose though? So so the bigger consideration in that place, and I do remember this impression, was I need to change either the primary or the secondary mission, because I do not want to play these against his bikes, I think was what it came down to. Yeah.
So Intercept was the last one that ended up getting vetoed. I was red player on the rollout, and so I did want to take blue player, but at the time I made the determination that I need to change this mission more than I need to pick table side.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a mistake. That could have been put another mistake in the mistake column on lessons learned for this game. But there's definite choosiness that you could pick on either of these tables that would have either favored or disfavored either player depending on the mission set. So I think, just as a general rule of my thoughts for terrain and setting these tables up, is we don't want to make them symmetrical where it doesn't matter what side you're on. You want that to be a factor and a choice, but maybe density and layout, I don't know. We put both these tables together, we were both happy with it, and then we did our card flop.
Yeah.
And so, at the beginning of the game, it looked fine. It didn't strike me as a problem.
Before I was getting shut off a table, this table felt fine.
Yeah, exactly. And also before I tried to deploy my lats. As soon as I started deploying my lats, there were only, you can't see it because there's another building off to the left a little bit more on the train depot table. Unfortunately, I didn't get quite as fisheye a picture as I thought I did. But there's a building there between the Connex boxes and other stuff, and I didn't have room to land a lat on that left side. And so I couldn't put it there. So it kind of pushed my lats more towards that right side. And so, that's why I just went with them. But I could have put them more on the left side of middle next to kind of those blue crystal structures, and then deployed my guys up behind the train. And those trains were line of sight blocking for troopers, at least. But then the two spots that the lats did end up landing. And then I could have landed between the two like dormitory buildings, or on top of them. But if you deploy the lats on top of terrain, then when you do the speed 1, you can't climb. You make a speed 1 move. Well, you might be able to climb down, I guess. I'd have to look at that. But my initial perusing of the rules in the heat of the moment was you use the base of your transported unit as your reference for your speed 1 move of transporting. So there was some question, and so it's just like, where do I put my guys? And so, those are considerations as well.
Oh, man,
having a lot more little stuff.
Be at a 44-degree angle, and it's all fine.
Well, the lats are so high up, you can't really put them at much of an angle before they start tilting over.
Yeah,
like you could maybe get to 25. You're not supposed to take the models off.
I always have a flat, empty base ready.
That's not how that's supposed to work, though. You're supposed to keep the model on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had this discussion about AATs, that it's supposed to stay on. So, yeah, speed 1 move. Measure this move, both prongs touching the base of the unit with the transport keyword. Measures vertical difference changed during that move, starting from the unit with the transport keyword. So, yeah, because you make a speed 1 move, not make a move. So I don't think you can climb off of that, which is the same thing with the other, speed 1, speed X moves. So if you deploy on a building, they're stuck on the building. So like I could have put the lat over the Connex boxes, and then my dudes are stuck on the Connex boxes.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a couple of considerations, obviously, and it's not to kind of harp on about this specific game. It's more of if you're using not even just transports, but big vehicles in general.
Yep.
Looking at the areas where they're going to fit and kind of planning out paths through. And this goes for your opponent as well. I do it a lot of my Wookiees. I will stand in the open sometimes in such a way that I just block a move for a vehicle because you can't land on top of my models anymore.
Right.
So making sure that you're aware of where these because some of those bases are big ass bases, right?
Yes. And the lats are pretty big. They're not the full lat or the full AAT Saber tank size, but they're bigger than an ATST. And when that's your reference for a big base, it's noticeably larger.
But like from the looks of it, again, you could have gone snowtroopers inside and then deployed them behind the boxes with the snowtroopers getting out into a position they're currently in that picture.
Sure.
And then you're playing a shorter turn game, right? You're kind of playing turn 1 to just deny getting shot and dying. And your riot control is not immediately delivered, but it doesn't lose you the game. And
it just delays when they engage.
And that's a big thing. I don't think table setup wins games. I think not respecting the table setup loses you games. That makes sense?
Yes. Yep. And it definitely was a contributing factor to my loss because I didn't think so. Having all of these little pieces more scattered, it definitely, it lends itself to, yes, there's still a lot of terrain on the table. There's places you can get line of sight blocked. But it does hinder mobility and it changes fire lanes. And there are a lot more fire lanes that you have compared to the big buildings narrowing the fields of fire.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't think it's really worth, even in the kind of video format, unless we kind of prepare a bunch of pre-done tables to talk about and take pictures and that kind of thing. I don't think talking about setting up tables is of much value in like the audio format. But I think some like general things that I do, I'm still locked into, I can't remember if it was 6th or 7th edition Warhammer Fantasy, which is like a very strict rank and flank movement game where your blocks can't necessarily go in. Like if one model touches the corner of a wood, your entire unit's at half speed until it gets, you know what I mean?
Until you're through the woods.
Yeah. But that was fill a quarter of the table with terrain and then spread it out. That's my default for any game system. Just because
that's almost how we do it here too, at least for the Ferrex table and everything. That when we're in the shop, that's what I tend to do is I fill up, a quarter to a third of terrain, and then I, make sure I have enough terrain with the scatter and everything else, and then I make a table with what I got out. Yeah. And I think rightly or wrongly, it's very similar to how I do it.
Yeah, I think Legion probably does favor what you're saying about a third, because the table naturally splits into a 2 foot by 3 foot because of the way that you're used to seeing intercept and stuff like that anyway. It kind of breaks up into those different areas. So filling up that part, spreading it out, and then generally it'll be looking like, does this feel right? Do I need a little bit of scatter terrain here? Maybe a little bit of area terrain? And I think one thing that I like to do, regardless of the theming of the table, like obviously you played on my old mining board. I always I try to make sure that I'm hitting something that's area terrain, something that's difficult, something that's going to have a height value of greater than 1, which Legion plays really well with vertical movement because it takes it into account, right? So if you have something, it's fun to kind of include because it lets units do what they do.
Yeah.
And
that did come into play in that second game for sure. Like he got up on a building and then now I can't charge him.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the speed to get to the building, get up on the building and then be able to hit him.
Yeah.
Or, climbing over the train instead of going around, those were factors to be
the number of times I play over Wookiees where I'm really annoyed that scale doesn't actually help me scale things.
Oh, yeah.
Because
you can climb higher.
But it's like the number of times that climbing higher, because of the way it's measured, it's like range band 1, range band 2. Scale doesn't come into play that often for vertical movement. You want someone that lets you climb at your normal speed. There's a different keyword, right? I can't remember. It might have even gone away.
It went away.
Yeah. But that's what I want it to do because then I could charge.
Yeah, you want to be able to go. Yeah, you want to be able to move full speed instead of having to climb.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the way we build tables, because the range bands for height are so detached from the actual movement being measured by the range tools. It kind of has that warping effect. So unless you do a really high building, that's not going to come into play.
Sure.
But yeah, making sure you're hitting as many height bands as you physically can on your table, making sure you're hitting area terrain, I think is essential for modern Legion. I think area terrain is key because it allows you to have really interesting line of sight blocking shapes without having to do super high buildings.
Right. And you can still move through them generally rather than like a big building like that. If it's a height 2 building, most people aren't going to be able to climb through that. You have to go around. But with line of sight, you can still go through it.
And then the last part would obviously be light cover, hard cover. Is that right?
Yep.
Is that the right terminology?
Yeah, light and heavy.
Light and heavy. Soft and hard, light and heavy.
Sure.
Because I feel like that just is interesting, having multiple types, so that there's advantages to being at different table positions and using different terrain differently, because you fall into play patterns if you just everything's heavy. And that's generally the way laziness drags it, is that so this is all difficult heavy, and some of it is impassable heavy. Sure. And then you're done, right? Because you don't have to think about anything else. But I think that the game plays better if you can include as much of it as you can.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's kind of
cool.
That goes through building tables, and I say for playing, the ability to change table sides is very important, not to be overlooked. But there's always a way. I think there's a path to victory, and especially for the kind of list we're currently playing, I think defaulting to a natural play pattern is what will cost you. And I definitely felt that in some of my games as well. So I understand that what you're saying. It reminds me a lot of when I was talking about how I keep putting the scanners on the Fluttercraft. I kind of changed it around, and it's part of I made it an active part of my decision tree, including the
Instead
terrain
of just,
and
this
table.
is what they go on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Making the terrain and the table an active part of your decision tree. It will lead you to be a better player. And that kind of just goes like Legion in general, right? Like the game I played against the Imperial list when I spoke last time, Yoda was the first model I brought on. I committed Yoda to the center of a table, activation 1.
Right.
Because I wanted the Luminous Beings bubble of his tokens to be there when I brought everyone else on.
Right.
Normally, I would kind of save Yoda to just provide those aim tokens for where I was going to bring the Fluttercraft onto. And, that kind of thing. So it was very much...
But because of the table, you needed those tokens now.
Yeah. So...
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that kind of covers everything.
It does cover almost everything. I've got one thing that I was much remiss, and I said I would bring it up because it was an excellent play, and I promised I would bring it up. So I'm on the back foot in the second game, right? I'm like, all right, let's just lock everybody in place. We're going to shut this board down. We're going to play Annihilation Looms on turn 4. Everybody gets 3 suppression. Get wrecked, nerd. And then he plays Unrelenting Fire, which is the Blizzard Force card that says, hey, after a rally step, you can only remove 1 suppression. Dang it. Played myself. Absolutely wrecked. Kyle, that was an excellent play. I told you I'd bring it up. I promised, because that was a really, really, really good play. Well done. Well done. He read me. He saw it coming. Outplayed.
Yeah, so,
I'll take my lumps. He got me. He absolutely got me. It was a good game.
Good. So let's kind of start wrapping up, I suppose. We might even get the video done in under an hour here. Heaven forbid. So I feel like there's been a bunch of activity, people joining the Discord recently, just new
Yes,
names
welcome.
keep popping up over and over. I was remiss in responding to comments on YouTube. I'll try and get that done this weekend. Again, I've been away for 2 weeks effectively, so I've not turned the computer on in a while. I assume that's why my camera went off and stuff. Like just my computer having a fit because I haven't been shown it enough attention.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's great. If you want to join the Discord, we're both on there and active, and we try to comment and chat. There's a Legion/Shatterpoint channel. There's a Deploy the Garrison feedback channel if you want to jump in there. If you leave comments on the videos or the podcast, I do try and respond to those. And obviously, if you're struggling to find us, check out dissect.com and everything's linked from there.
Yep.
You got anything you want to add? No, you're leaving Krennic behind.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things about dropping Krennic again. It's just I can't quite deploy the garrison quite the same.
You can just long live the Empire with Gideon, and it'll be fine. There's some quotes from Gideon. It'll be okay.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Long live the Empire.
On that,
just don't ask me to chew a pill.
On that empire-loving note, we will call it a night, folks. Thanks a lot, everybody, and see you next time.